Yes, yes, this is Mr. Controversy, and this is the infamous three-point conversion station. Keep it locked.
From coast to coast, representing all the dog pound in victory formation! This is the Brownstown Podcast, powered by the three-point conversion. I'm Eric, and over there is LA.
What's going on, everybody? And like Eric just stated, we are in victory formation, as Beyonce would say. I'm excited. I'm pretty sure you can hear it in my voice. Eric is excited after yelling at the top of his lungs. Again, as he mentioned, it's BrownsTownUSA, powered by the three-point conversion. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter at BrownsTownUSA, and also look us up on Facebook. We are loving it right now. All the posts from everybody at BrownsTownUSA on Facebook. threepointconversion.com to check out our latest and greatest work and news. We're always posting something good. So, Eric.
Yeah!
Victory.
About damn time.
Exactly. And I know that's how we're all feeling. It's how we're all feeling. So now putting our fandom to the side, because we got to put it aside a little bit.
No guarantees on that.
I hear you. Because, we don't know how to act. It's been, 386 days?
Christmas Eve of 2016, my friend.
Yes, and I believe that breaks down to about 380-something days. So I understand. I get it. I will not hold you to it. I may just mute you, but that's about it. That's about it. Anywho, we owe the fans, and also, too, before we hop into the show, guys, just want to thank everyone for listening. The show is growing. The support is growing. You guys are finally noticing us. We aren't worthy. But thank you. So, Eric, let's jump into some analysis. We have, dang, man, I'm still just shocked. I really am. I'm shocked. Well,
I don't blame you. I mean, here's the thing. How many times were we in this situation? We were just in it last week where it's like, oh, is this really happening? Is this really? Oh, Drew Brees. Thanks.
Well, no, it's just the fact that I don't think I've ever done a podcast or any kind of show as long as I've been in and remember doing a Browns win game, like after a win. I can't remember it. So the feeling is just so new and so fresh to me. So I understand how you're feeling too. But analysis, okay. Offensively, we'll start with the Jets. What did you see working for them, and then what did you see go wrong for them?
Honestly, what I saw was when Sam Darnold actually was having enough time, obviously, he was looking good. I felt the run at the beginning of the first half looked really good. Like, Isaiah Crowell had the 2 touchdowns. He had less yardage than I thought he would have had, but that's beside the point. He still scored. I just felt like when the Jets had the opportunities, like had time to let the plays set out, work, and all that, they actually made the Browns pay. We saw it because Darnold was just feasting on the offense. He just couldn't put it together enough to get a touchdown out of it, and had to get, unless it was Isaiah Crowell, who Crow was getting all the touchdowns.
Very true. And kind of going to your point here, they actually had a nice amount as far as splitting the carries between Isaiah and Powell. Isaiah had 16 carries for 34 yards, but he had the 2 touchdowns. Powell had 14 carries for 73 yards. And as you alluded to, we've seen Powell breaking some nice big runs on us. He was pretty much eating our defense. Now, as far as going to your point with Darnold, this is what is kind of surprising for me, because we mentioned that he's a rookie. And what was working for him is that he was doing those short dink and dunk passes, those short slant passes, and it was neutralizing Myles Garrett for pretty much a lot of the game. Myles couldn't get to him because the ball was coming out so quickly. But can you imagine the stat here? Darnold threw over 31 times. He threw over 31 times, but he only had 169 yards. No touchdowns and 2 interceptions, sir. A 38 quarterback rating. Now that's an ugly stat right there.
They were bringing it up during the broadcast. I believe it was John Buck, or is it John or is it Joe Buck? Because I know one was a catcher, one's the commentator for Fox. I think it's Joe Buck.
It might have been Joe. I kept hearing everybody say that he was there.
But like Joe Buck and then Troy Aikman, they actually brought up the stats for Aikman, and
oh yeah, that was funny.
That was pretty funny. It's just like maybe there is that third game curse, but that's beside the point. The problem with Darnold that I did notice was he did not look good in crunch time. Like those 2 picks came in their last 2 drives when he actually had a chance to do something. Of course, one of them was the Joe Schobert interception, which just ate up more, which led to more clock eating. And then I believe it was Mitchell. I believe they had the other one.
Yeah, and late in the game, it was Mitchell.
Yeah, so you had that, but that was the big problem with it. It just did not look like – it looks like in crunch time, he just doesn't know what to – he looked like a deer in the headlights.
He looked like a rookie. I mean, he looked like a rookie. Let's just be honest. I mean, it's the guy's third game. I seen somebody post on Facebook. I believe it was our friend Mike Patton, the general over at Sports Awakening. He said that everybody was going to get introduced to this Browns defense. Like, he didn't feel like everybody really gave us credit, that they didn't really know about us. But with us playing on national TV, everybody was going to get put on notice. And I know we're going to dive some more into that, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue to do our analysis on the offense, and then we'll jump over to the defense a little bit later. Also, we have MVP of the game, scrub of the game, Eric's Rant, and so much more coming up on Brownstown USA. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Robert Brazil, and I listen to the 3-Point Conversion Radio.
And we are back, Brownstown, USA. I'm LA, and across from me is my man, Eric. And we are happy campers because we're doing a show and the Browns won. Oh, my God. I said I wouldn't cry. But, anywho, I know I kind of jumped in with you, man. What else, or was there anybody, before we jump onto our home team, was there anything else that jumped out to you about the Jets offense?
Honestly, the one thing I got to give a lot of credit to with Darnold, he was able to spread the ball around very well. I mean, if I'm looking at the receiving, and it looked like he hit every one of his receivers. That's something really good, especially when you consider the first half play of our quarterback, which we'll get to. But the thing is, when you spread the ball around, good things can happen.
Very true. And, the crazy part is that I don't watch too much Jets football. I mean, I'm not expected to. We just keep an eye out on that team. But I'm actually pretty impressed with their one receiver, and Nunwa. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, Nunwa.
Yeah, he put me on notice this game. I seen that he had done well the previous game. So they might have a receiver in this guy. In a Nunwa. Also, Curse had a couple impressive catches towards the end of the game. And then we seen an old friend of ours, Terrell Pryor. Yeah, we seen him make one good catch. But other than that, again, the defense did its job. Very happy because remember we were texting back and forth, and I was actually a little afraid towards the end. I was just like, no. I was like, we actually finally scored some points. I was like, and now we actually need the defense that we've been getting the last 2 games, and now we may lose this because of the defense. I was like, that would just be so Browns, right? It's for our offense to finally score and stuff, and then the defense that's been there for the last 2 games disappears, and then we lose it. But that is because that's what we've been through our entire lives. So let's jump over to the Brown side of the ball, the offense there. Now, we know, unfortunately, fortunately, as most people will say, but I still never wish injury on nobody.
No, you don't do that.
Yeah, you still don't wish injury on nobody, but it was a sort of a blessing in disguise. But Tyrod Taylor, we seen him go out towards the end of the second quarter with a concussion. Boom. The news, the headlines, the highlights, everything is around our rookie quarterback, Baker Mayfield, coming in. His stats, Eric, and I quote, 17 for 23, 201 yards, 100.1 rating, 8.7 average, a throw. Eric, we have a lot to talk about on this offense, so let's go ahead and carve out what you've seen, positives and negatives from our boy Baker Mayfield.
Positives, he gets the ball out. I know I was texting you over and over again, just like, don't hold on to the damn ball that long. And if it wasn't that, it was, why are you hanging the ball? Why are you underthrowing? It mind boggles me that Tyrod was throwing the ball either too far, too short, but not hitting that middle ground at all. I mean, the crazy stat about that, 19 yards in 1 half. Meanwhile, Baker in 2 minutes racked up at least double that.
Let me ask you this really quickly before we jump into some more Baker. That didn't look like Tyrod. I understand that he has not been playing the best, but no. I'm gonna ask you this: do you feel like that pressure of Baker sitting behind him finally got to him? Because something looked really, really off with him this game.
Honestly, I think so. I mean, the problem is the last 2 games there was a lot of talk immediately. I mean, the thing is, Hugh Jackson, as much as I may not care for the way he's handled the situation, was a cool customer. Tyrod's never had this before. I mean, look at him in Baltimore. You were sitting behind Joe Flacco. You weren't going to be ahead. You weren't going to get ahead of him, unfortunately. Jump over to Buffalo. There was no pressure with Nathan Peterman because he was, a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick? So he's not high enough. I mean, he played in the game, but not enough to make him nervous. Baker went toe-to-toe with Tyrod in the preseason. A lot of people were saying, well, it's clear that Tyrod's the starter by the No, it's only clear because Hugh keeps saying it. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's the better quarterback. What I'm getting at is that pressure was always there, and it's making me wonder how much it was knocking at that door for the past 2 weeks now.
Well, you know what? Kind of to jump in on that part there, I'm not going to lie to you. When I seen the preseason and I was up there at training camp, because I actually had to, we know I had a chance to go up there and see it. Baker definitely looked like he was overwhelmed for a while. Now, It looks like he's a fast learner. I mean, it's crazy, but it's like he finally got the tools. Now, again, I don't want us or I don't want fans out there to fall in love with this one performance. That's why I want us to come back to earth. We feel good. I understand. I get it. And I will allow everybody to keep floating up there for this weekend. That's the good thing about it. We played early. We got it out the way. We can float on, and like how Baker said in his presser, watch everybody else lose on Sunday. and then boom, we're back to work. So I get it. I understand. Feel good, people. Feel good. But let's temper the expectations. He's still a rookie. And I want to ask you, Eric, now, what was the negatives you seen from Baker last night?
He looked like he scrambled a bit too much at times. Like, not scrambled, but moved around a bit too much. That's something that I do feel is a rookie thing, so I will give him that benefit of the doubt. Now, that said, I will say I think the other thing is he does play a little recklessly with his own body, which is not always a bad thing, but it's not always a good thing either. It's like that weird middle ground. He didn't take too many hits, so I can't fault him, but the thing is, if he can't do that for that long, then if he continues to do that for a long time, he's not going to be in the league that long.
Very true. Another thing that I've seen negative-wise, and actually, you know what? Let me say what I got positive to, because I didn't say that, but I'll breeze right through that. Positive, quick, decisive. 2, energy. Changed the entire stadium, changed the entire team as soon as he came in. He is contagious, as Jarvis would say. It's contagious, and there is something just electric about this guy that you just get. I think I heard Hugh use the word last night. It magnetizes. Like, he's just a magnet, and you just gravitate towards him. So very good there. Also, 3, he's talking to all the players. Jarvis mentioned in the presser last night that he was talking to him the entire time. He's up and down that sideline talking to everybody. So that is a very good thing. Now, to jump over to the negative side, like you said, there was a couple of times in that pocket where he was trying to scramble, and you could tell he is definitely not the athlete that Tyrod is. I was scared a couple of times. We seen pretty much 2 fumbles from him that people aren't talking about because it got masked by the fact that we won. But we seen two fumbles by him, and that was from him trying to scramble away or try to juke and, jive back there in the pocket. So I think that will get cleaned up because he's smart. 2, what I saw is that he almost had a big-time interception as well. I don't know if you remember, but it was a crossing route. He threw it. It bounced right off of the pads of the Jets player and went out of bounds. The announcer was kind of describing it as that he felt like Baker didn't see the pattern or didn't see how it developed because it was another crossing route going across as well. But that's going to be, again, what rookies do, and that's the thing that I'm trying to tell people is to kind of settle down a little bit. There is going to be an ugly game from Baker. Like, just expect it to come because that's what happens. But he has to just recognize the coverage is better, and he has to get a little bit more cleaner with his pocket awareness.
I mean, the thing about being a rookie is, as you said, he's going to have that ugly game or two. The thing is, there's 2 things that come with that. One, how do they come back from it? If a player has an ugly game, like what I'm interested to see next week is how does Sam Darnold take this game, because he just did not look that great when you ultimately look at the numbers. And first half, fantastic. Second half, but
I'm not really worried about Sam Darnold because it's like when we seen in his first game where he came out and threw a pick 6 for his first throw, he bounced right back. So the kid looks really resilient, and he looks like he has a strong mental. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. But I want to see that. That's the first thing. The other thing is how many games you can limit yourself to having of those. People always talk about how electric it was when Johnny Manziel first came in, but they don't want to talk about that first year when he threw 80 yards, I think it was, or 60 yards in one game, which was not impressive. Or Kevin Hogan a few years ago when he came in and had his 100 yards passing, 100 yards rushing game. That was not a great performance, but yeah, you got to realize that you got to limit yourself to those very poor performances.
Got you. Now looking across now, because we're going to zip through this and then we're going to jump into some more stuff here. The running game, Carlos Hyde, 23 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also, congratulations to Carlos. Last night was his birthday. I'm not sure if the baby came yet. I know they induced, but We were still waiting to see if the baby had been delivered yet. It might have when we were asleep, but he had a baby on the way. It was his birthday. 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4.3 average. We haven't seen something like that from the running game in these past 2 games. So, Eric, what did you see from the running game?
I saw a lot of good. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is this was what the running game needed. It needed that wake-up moment. And I'm not just talking about Tyrod scrambling. They needed the running game to get involved. It did. Kudos to the running game. And really, Carlos Hyde getting those 2 scores, beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. Now, looking over at the receiving core, it looks like Baker has a favorite target. I mean, well, actually, the crazy part is that Baker actually spreads it around as well. Mm-hmm. So everybody's equal opportunity, but I'm pretty sure you remember the big play that he threw to Jarvis Landry. Jarvis had 8 receptions, 103 yards. And, of course, nobody in the receiving, could crack the, the end zone, and that's okay. But we've seen Njoku get a couple of catches. We've seen, of course, Higgins there. We've seen even Duke Johnson get involved a little bit. We've seen Antonio get involved a little bit more towards the end. But I'll speak real quick on the receiving core, and I'll throw the ball over to you. They dropped a lot of Baker's passes. Let's be honest. They dropped some of his passes, and Baker could even have had even a greater game than what he had if they wouldn't have dropped it. If I remember correctly, I want to say it was like Callaway. Callaway had a pretty big drop. And then I cannot remember the guy's name that dropped it towards the end of the half. Was it? I can't even remember the guy's name.
Was it the first half?
Yeah, towards the end of the first half, he dropped a pretty big pass. And if he would have picked up on it, we probably would have been able to get another 3 out of that. But I can't remember the guy's name because it shocked me to even hear his name.
I don't. Let's see. I got when he came in. We had end of the half, but they took a kneel for it. Callaway. That's it. That was it. Oh, deep pass. And no, I'm not seeing anything. It might. Okay, whatever. I mean, but yeah, I know what you mean. There were quite a few drops, and it was not pretty at all. But you know what? At the same time, it's also a little bit of rookie nerves, I believe. He was darting the ball, so I'm curious to know if maybe he was throwing it a bit too hard at times.
That's true. And the guy, like you said, man, the guy has a freaking cannon on him. I mean, he was definitely – yeah, here it is. Old Charles dropped it.
Oh, yeah, Orson Charles.
Yeah, it threw me off because I'm like, who? And I was like, what? Who's that? So it kind of threw me off a little bit, but yeah, he was definitely zipping that ball out there, man. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. Even when he scrambled around and the guy kind of bounced off of him and Baker came out and then he was running to his right and still was able to zip the ball out there and it bounced off of Charles because that was the same play.
Yeah.
The ball, you seen it coming to Charles, and it still looked beautiful. It wasn't wobbling. It wasn't doing anything crazy. It still had great zip, great spiral. And then Charles should have caught it. It hit him in his arms and everything, and he should have caught that. And I think if he would have caught that, we would have definitely had another 3 points out of that play. But
absolutely.
Let's see. Going over, actually, we'll take a break and pay the bills, and then we'll come back and talk about some of this defense and what we saw from the defense. This is Brownstown, USA.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cat Williams, and you are listening to 3 Point Conversion Radio.
All right, and we are back. I'm LA, and across from me, of course, is Eric, and we are Brownstown, USA, powered by the 3 Point Conversion. We just got done breaking down the offense and what we've seen, and also just being happy. We're just happy today, just happy-go-lucky. So, Eric, now we can talk about the defense, man. What did you see from the defense positive?
Oh, my God. Here's one. How about number 9, I believe it was number 9, number 10, and number 11. The turnover game is strong, amigo. And you know what? it was finally nice to be able to capitalize on some of them. The thing is, there's something about Denzel Ward. He's a lot smarter than people think and have been giving him credit for, because this was the guy that the first 2 games, 2 interceptions. Nothing last week. This week, had a huge fumble. And then he almost took it to the house.
Very true.
So, got to give Ward props there. Joe Schobert, making tackles, making interceptions. Oh, man. Big cup of Joe.
Joe Schobert, he came in second behind Ogunjobi with total tackles. Ogunjobi had 8 total tackles. Schobert had 7. And as you said, I mean, even Ogunjobi still looks so dang good out there, man. He's such a force. And of course, then we were able to see Myles Garrett get involved. The thing about Myles Garrett is that we know, and if he doesn't show up in a game, we know that he's great. It's just the fact that they have to scheme for Myles Garrett. So a lot of times he's getting double teamed. A lot of times people are running away from his side, or they might be running towards his side to get him neutralized with the pass rush. And that's going to happen when you're that great. So we don't normally judge Myles Garrett off of his stats necessarily, but we see what he does to be able to get other people to be able to eat. Like last week, Garrett didn't get any sacks, but at the same time, he was able to put pressure in there to get Ogunjobi free to sack Drew Brees. This week, Ogunjobi made it crazy, and then Myles Garrett got a chance to get some sacks in, which I kind of called because I said that Darnold, he's happy feet back there in that pocket. So I figured that Garrett would get a chance to sack him because when you were dealing with a running quarterback, the edge rushers normally have a better day than the inside people. Those people that stay in the pocket, like a Drew Brees, the inside people will have a good day. So it's just about who you're playing with and stuff like that. And Myles was able to really flash what we think he is and who he is. So besides Schobert, besides Ogunjobi, what did you see? Because we talked about the positive. What did you see? Did you see any negatives? Was there any negatives in this defense last night?
Probably the one big negative was I felt like the linebackers did not make tackles after a while. I don't know what it was, but the run game and the short pass game just ate them up big time. I remember even seeing a tweet late in the game just like, this linebacking core sucks. But you know what? The thing is, they can make the tackles. They need to start playing. They need to play a better zone if they're going to play a zone in the middle of the field, though.
Yeah, the linebacking core did. I mean, it's crazy because Burgess was a force. He definitely was. I think we have to check on that too. I don't know if he. I know he went out with the injury at first or got hurt pretty banged up. So I'm not sure if he'll be back or not. We're still waiting for a lot of this confirmation of the aftermath. They're probably at the facility now getting checked out and stuff. So we should see that later on in the day. Jannard Avery had a big play, but other than that, pretty neutralized. I think the linebacker core is competent enough for us, but again, like you said, we were getting beat by those slant routes and stuff, and whenever the corner was playing soft, that's when you seen big plays being made. So yeah, I guess that is a fair negative to go ahead and say there. So, but overall, again, like you said, more turnovers. We got some more, and I felt good when we got the turnovers this time. It's crazy because it was like, I was like, man, just get a turnover to give it back to Baker. Like you just kind of knew that once we got that field goal, it's like you just kind of knew that we had a chance to come back with Baker. Like, we seen this, and it was crazy. But special teams. Now, here's the thing where I'm still kind of confused on some things. So I want to get your opinion on special teams. All right. We already know what the good is. We were able to make some field goals. That was the good. So we'll get that out the way. But what are some concerns that you're seeing from the special teams unit?
One of the biggest concerns I have is they need to work on blocking. Nick Chubb this week, allowed that block punt, and it was like, oh no, here we go again. Last week, I believe it was Myles Garrett that ended up getting beaten badly. which allowed the blocked field goal.
True.
No, sorry, that was the Steeler game.
Yeah.
So what needs to happen is I think it's Amos Jones, I believe it is.
Yes.
Amos needs to get in there and just tell him, look, you can't allow someone to bully you like that. Get in there, dig deep, and block. It doesn't matter. I mean, if not, then something's got to change.
Very true. Another thing that's been concerning me with the special teams as well is the returns. Every time we get a punt return or every time we have a kick return, it just looks abysmal, man. I can't put my finger on it. We had TJ Curie with one kick return for 19 yards. Then after that, we had punt returns. First of all, we had Jarvis Landry back there because of the injury to Jabril in the game. So he had 2 returns for 10 yards. Then, before that, when Jabril was in there, we had 3 returns for 10 yards. I don't get it. I seen a tweet last night that I absolutely agree with, and it said that we haven't really had a true kick returner or punt returner since Josh Cribbs left. And, I wish really that Antonio Callaway would get the trust more of them so that they can go ahead and put him back there because the guy is a dynamic athlete. And actually something, too, that I seen from Antonio that I want to get into as well, but he's a good guy to put back there, but we have to be able to trust him to make those decisions. And again, he's a rookie, so he's gonna learn, he's gonna get it. But I wouldn't even be mad at them, man, if they just brought somebody onto the team solely for that purpose. Like, hey, we signed such and such, and we know he's a great kick returner. I don't care about using him in the offense or anything like that. Just use them as these returners, or Eric, or if since Duke is not being used like that, man, go ahead and throw Duke back there.
Seriously, I mean, isn't that how Duke got his start, really? If I remember, I thought it was there's one other thing that irked me just a little bit. My dad pointed this out to me while we were watching. How many times did Denzel Rice get caught for illegal block in the back?
Yes.
I thought I counted like 2 or 3 times from him alone. And it wasn't just him, I get that. I think Carrier Mitchell had one as well. But it seems like every time someone's committing that damn penalty. It's like, dude, this is a very simple penalty. Whenever the ball gets near him, just block. Don't throw the dude to the ground. That you're going to get caught every time. I don't care how close it is or how blatant it looks. Don't do it.
Very true. Now, speaking of penalties, we had a pretty decent game with penalties. We only had 5, and we only yielded about 41 yards. So that is a positive, very positive. Looking a lot better when it comes to that area because the first couple of games, it was a very huge concern. We were getting penalties, and we were yielding over 100 and something yards, for these penalties. So it's good to see that number under 100 yards for the Browns there. Now, one thing I want to get into, too, and then we'll go over and start breaking down, like, our MVPs and stuff like that. Duke Johnson, again, we seen him not being used effectively this game. Also with Callaway, another thing that I seen was that there was some routes out there, Eric, that he didn't run full. He didn't – go ahead.
All right, someone just posted this, but it turns out that Carlos Hyde's son was born.
Okay, awesome.
I don't have a time. His son, Carlos Jr., was born, though.
Awesome. So huge congrats out to Carlos there, and welcome to the world, Carlos Jr. You have been born into a world where the Browns win. So with Antonio Callaway seeing his routes being ran, I don't know if you picked up on this or not, but he was not running them fully, like 100%. I don't know if it was because he was frustrated from the first half, with Tyrod missing him because he was torching his corner the first quarter and was wide open. So I don't know if it was that he was frustrated, or something like that, but he was kind of jogging through his routes. Also, too, seeing him come back to the huddle, he was jogging back to the huddle, sometimes walking back to the huddle. I think that that's something that's going to be picked up on the tape. I think that the coach is going to get in his butt about it, but it's not something that I like seeing from a rookie Antonio, especially with all the things that we know that he has off the field. Is going to quantify whatever he does on the field. So I didn't like that.
No, I don't blame you at all. Part of me does wonder, though, I wonder if he got hurt at all, because he got banged up. If you watched, how many offensive interferences did he take that didn't get called? I mean,
True.
Of course,
Claiborne was holding him. Claiborne was holding the mess out of him.
You had that one, which, if you remember, I thought he even got pushed down on that one, which was bad. And then you also had the very blatant one in the end zone where that should have been a touchdown. Instead, Claiborne was holding on to him. Then all of a sudden, the other cornerback runs right into him.
Yeah.
That type of stuff, I know it's not ballet, but those hits do add up. It doesn't matter if it's first half or second half. Stuff like that, I think maybe could have also added to frustration, as you were saying, with Tyrod missing.
That's true. That's very true. So, like I said, that's definitely something to keep an eye out on, folks. Just Antonio's body language. Hopefully, barring anything crazy, but of course it's the Browns. If Hugh does go back to Tyrod, hopefully not. And we'll get into more of that later. Mm-hmm. But if Baker does start and continues, we'll see. I'm pretty sure that we'll see a lot of these receivers get the ball a little bit more, and that people will be a lot more happy. Like I said, we have a long period to get ready, 10 days, and then the next up is we go to Oakland to take on those Raiders. So yeah, we'll get into what we're gonna see, and like I said, and we'll talk about that on the preview show as well. So before we take this quick break, I'll do that after the break. This is Brownstown USA with LA and Eric. We'll be right back.
What up, sports fans? It's your boy Damian Adams from The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Now, you can catch my show weekly here on the 3-Point Conversion station. I'm always bringing that real sports talk for the real sports fan. But if you're hearing my voice right now, that means you're living life correctly, because you're listening to Brownstown with my man LA and Eric. Make sure you stay tuned. Tell your friends about the show, because they're bringing that real for you, that knowledge for you here on Brownstown.
And we are back. I'm LA, and across from me is Eric. And, of course, you are listening to Brownstown USA. Thank you again for the listens. We are gaining traction. Just to kind of give you guys a breakdown, we do a post-game show. We do a preview show. And we do emergency podcast for you. That's right, for you, Browns fans. So you have one of the best shows out there for Browns coverage, and we're working overtime to make sure that we get you the news and break everything that you need. Also, if you are interested in the rest of the NFL, NBA, MLB, boxing, whatever you need, guess what? We got you covered too, because you need to hop over to the 3-Point Conversion, and that is at 3-Point Conversion on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. We got you covered across social media platforms at the 3-Point Conversion, and also the 3pointconversion.com, and that's the number 3pointconversion.com. So we just got done breaking down our analysis of what we've seen on offense, defense, and special teams from this epic win that we got over the New York Jets. But now we are going to get into our MVP. Who, Eric, gets your game ball this week?
My game ball, I got to give it to Baker. I know that everyone said, I know it's a cop-out because it's like, but that's so odd. But the thing is, where was this in life before? We were watching with Tyrod that it looked like he was dead. It looked like there was nothing going on. It was like trying to see the best way to put it, the rookie EMT with the defibrillator trying to revive a dead corpse that's been dead for like an hour. It was not pretty. It was like, clear. It's still dead. It was bad. But the minute Baker got in, he was going off like a firework.
Very true. Very true. Well, you know what? I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna surprise you with my game ball. My game ball is actually going to go to Greg Joseph. Reason being is because he was 100% from kicking. He had 2 field goals that he made, even though they looked crazy and gave me a heart attack every single time because it was like a weird knuckleball kind of action, and I couldn't tell if it was good until the refs put up their arms. So he scared me there. But also nailing his extra points as well. Being able to be accountable for 7 points in this game, which was huge. But the reason why I'm giving him the game ball, and this is not normally what you'll see a game ball going to the kicker unless it's that type of game. But who had to be – I mean, the nerves for this rookie. He's an undrafted rookie. And he sees what Zane Gonzalez does last week, gets called in immediately on a short week, knowing that he has pressure on him. Everybody in Cleveland was like looking at this guy and saying, man, if this guy misses another field goal, it's a wrap. He's going to get ran out of town again. We've seen what happened with Zane. So I know that the guy was nervous and he had a lot of pressure on him. So to be able to come in, nail those field goals, and get out unscathed, I got to give him the game ball, man, because he had a ton of pressure on him. Going to the MVP, of course, we have to label our scrub of the game. So, Eric, be nice, which I know is kind of impossible, but again, I got the mute button here if I need it. Who's your scrub of the game, sir?
I'll give you one guess. Just take a wild guess. I'm pretty sure you can figure it out.
You're not gonna do that, man. No.
No, you know what? I'm feeling nice. I'm not gonna say Tyrod. I mean, as much as he probably should get it, no, I'm not gonna give it to him. I'll be honest with you. I think probably the scrub of the game in this situation, probably Orson Charles. I mean, that was just for that one play, just because that one play, the ball bounced right off of him. And that, I hate to say it, that was a perfectly catchable ball. That was a ball that nearly was intercepted and would have killed the drive completely. And you wouldn't be able to put it on Baker because the ball hit right off of his hands. That was a play that he got really lucky on. People were already calling for him to be released in favor of Cajuice. So if that ball gets intercepted because of that, he'd be labeled Ricardo Lewis again, and he would be on the next bus to Akron.
Very true. Now, my scrub of the game I'm going to go with is, crazy enough, I'm going to go with Nick Chubb, man. Nick Chubb was very ineffective this game. I know he had 2 carries for 6 yards, and I know that when it comes to running backs, a lot of times they need to get fed carries so that they can kind of warm up and get into their groove. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when he was in there in the couple of runs that I did see him do, he was still indecisive, still trying to pick and choose when to go, when not to go, and it was getting swallowed up every time. Still want him to work on his blocking. So there were some things that we need to see from Nick Chubb that we did get from Carlos Hyde finally, and that's kind of why people were asking, like, well, why do we have Carlos Hyde? If we got this beast and Nick Chubb, he's a rookie. You guys got to understand, every position for a rookie is very different. There's different things that they're responsible for and different things that they got to pick up on. And for running backs, it's very essential that they be able to pick up on the blocking scheme. And then for the running backs to be able to have that vision. And I know Nick Chubb is he's worthy of it. He's going to be a beast, but he's just not ready yet. Now that we've highlighted our MVP and our scrub, what was on your mind as far as we're trying out something, guys, so be patient with us. But we were going to try to introduce where we have Eric. He's a very angry guy. So we were going to let him rant and I'm going to time this, guys, rant for a minute straight about what is on his mind, or AKA grinding his gears, that Family Guy would say. So, Eric, hold on a second. Let me load up the clock. And go.
Okay, what I want to know is why on God's green earth is Hugh Jackson still saying, I got to go back and check the tape. No, you don't. Sir, you said this the minute that someone brought up Baker Mayfield and if he's going to start next week. Well, I got to. No, you don't. What did Tyrod show you this whole freaking season? Well, he throws a pretty deep. He throws a pretty deep ball and overthrows his own play. I thought he was trying to hit the freaking and field goal post. You can't hang the ball that much. You can't do this. You can't hold on to the ball that much, but no, I got to check the free. I know you can't name a starter right now. Say something else. Stop it, you! Stop it!
All right. And that is Eric's rant. And he brings up some good points there with his rant. We seen at the presser last night. But I get it though. Hugh is a player's coach. He's a player's coach, so therefore you never want to just throw the guy underneath the bus. We could see the excitement in Hugh's face when they were able to see Baker do it. We seen Haslam down on the field, which we hadn't seen in quite some time. As soon as Baker came in, Haslam was down there with John Dorsey, all smiles as soon as Baker came in. So we know that this was this. Now, for the conspiracy theorists out there in us, Eric, actually, you know what? I'll save the conspiracy theory for us to wrap up the show. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with the conspiracy theory. This is Brownstown, USA.
Hey, this is Gary Payton. Y'all listen to 3 Point Conversion Radio. It's the bomb.
And we are back. I'm LA, and across from me is Eric, and this is Brownstown, USA. Thank you so much for listening. We just got done with Eric's rants. And to wrap up this show today, Eric, I have a conspiracy. Okay? Is it possible that Haley intentionally called some of this stuff on offense to make Tyrod look bad? And then as soon as you seen Baker come in, this whole beautiful new movement and all of that happened with the offense now that Baker was in. Is it possible that this was geared for Tyrod to fail? What do you think?
Honestly, I think it is very possible. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, that's ridiculous. Is it? I'm sorry, but the plays that Tyrod was running originally kind of reminded me of something similar to what Baker was running in college. It looked like the playbook was already built around Baker, but the one thing that we noticed with Hugh Jackson, yeah, we're not going to play Baker. We're not going to play Baker. We're not going to play Baker. So I can understand it to a degree, but the fact of the matter is that playbook looked very similar to something that Baker would run in college.
It definitely does, and like I said, it's just a conspiracy theory. I don't think that ultimately the team would want to lose, of course, but I really feel like how you said the playbook was built around Baker and his skill set. Tyrod, we said it. We said it the last show. Tyrod looked very uncomfortable just in general, like just out there every single game. He looked very uncomfortable, and maybe that's because what they were trying to do wasn't built for him, and that's why when Baker came in, it was able to go so smoothly, and why Baker understood and they didn't have to dumb down the playbook or scale it back like how you normally hear about with rookies. They didn't have to do it, but Tyrod really looked uncomfortable, and he looked even crazier during this game, just very uncharacteristic type stuff. I mean, I seen a tweet with them saying that on that one throw where he threw it deep and into to the fans pretty much, that he was trying to pass it to Manti Te'o's girlfriend. She was open back in the end zone. So all kinds of jokes flying around, but again, we don't wish anything bad on somebody, especially when it comes to injury. So yeah, I know Tyrod is the blunt of a lot of jokes. I ain't gonna lie, I posted a meme last night that kind of blew up a little bit with Baker, getting that call on the phone, and somebody asked about Tyrod, and he said, Tyrod who? He doesn't work here anymore. So, I understand that he's going to be the blunt of the jokes, but just keep in mind, he does have a family.
Don't say blunt. Josh Gordon might come back.
Oh, my gosh. He has a family. He's a good guy. Tyrod is definitely a good guy, and we wish the best for him. But, again, we all seen this coming. We didn't see it coming this early, but we did keep saying, especially on the show, that we would see Baker probably by bye week, barring any injury, and that's unfortunately what we got to see, an injury happen. So, and then again, Tyrod, he's only on a 1-year deal here. He only had 1 year left. So it's pretty much going to just, go from there. We'll see Tyrod probably fade into the sun. Or,
I can't wait.
I was going to say, or we have Baker starting everything, and then we have a competent backup quarterback that can come in and Tyrod. So,
Trade him. No.
you know what? I can see that maybe probably towards midseason, especially if somebody goes down. But looking out across the scene right now, I don't see anybody trading for Tyrod because there's not really a need. Every team out there right now has a rookie starting, has a backup QB behind their Pro Bowl guy, so I don't really see a need for Tyrod yet until somebody goes down, which we know will happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to happen. So, as to wrap up, do you have any closing remarks for the people out there, my friend?
Yes. Don't forget to spay and neuter your pets, as long as they're not Browns fans, because, come on, it's time to let the dogs out, baby. Who let the dogs out?
Absolutely. That was weird, but a good point. Anywho, this is Brownstown USA, powered by the 3-point conversion. Again, we are your host, LA, and the crazy man across from me is Eric, and we will see you guys next week for our preview breakdown when we face those Oakland Raiders and Mr. John Gruden.
Wait, hold on. Unless something happens.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we may have an emergency podcast. We might have to do one, I guess. Will it be an emergency when they announce Baker as a starter?
You know what? And probably not, but we'll probably do one anyways because we can.
Very true. Very true. So, unless something breaking happens, we will see you guys next week for our preview show against the Oakland Raiders. And if we see you before, same crazy people that will be hosting it. So, thank you again. This is Brownstown USA, powered by the 3-point conversion.
Yeah.